Last week we talked about Audi's departing Formula E driver Daniel Abt. This time we're going to be discussing his replacement, Rene Rast. Now, some of you more eagle-eyed motorsport fans will probably know Rast as a multiple Porsche Super Cup and DTM champion, but what you might not realise is that Rast has been in Formula E before, and coincidentally his previous one-off appearance in the series was also in Berlin. But let's put things into context. The year is 2016, and while Di Grassi and Buemi are embroiled in a heated championship battle that will ultimately boil over in London, another team at the opposite end of the grid are struggling just to stay afloat. Team Aguri had lost their Amlin title sponsorship to Andretti prior to the start of Season 2, and whereas the majority of teams were by now constructing their own powertrains, cash-strapped Aguri elected to fall back on the outdated McLaren power unit from Season 1. Now, some heroics from Antonio Felix da Costa saved the season from being a complete write-off, but it wasn't enough to save the team, despite mid-season tie-ins with Golf and Sega, the latter of which saw Ma Qing-ha come aboard. Oh no, they really were in trouble. Anyway, that brings us to the Berlin E-Prix, where Rene Rast would be called up as a replacement for Da Costa, who ironically had clashing commitments in DTM, the same series where Rast would later make a name for himself. Without any testing, Rast only had practice to get to grips with both the car and track, which was not the Tempelhof airfield circuit we are familiar with today. This is because the airfield was temporarily being used as a shelter for the ongoing refugee crisis, causing the Formula E race to be relocated to a cramped street circuit along Karl Marx Allee in the east of Berlin, an arrangement which would only last for 1 year. Somewhat predictably perhaps, the Aguris were slowest in qualifying. Notably, however, Rast was over half a second quicker than Ma, despite Ma having prior experience with the machinery. Now, I do my best to remain unopinionated with lift and coast, so I'll just show you the numbers and let you draw your own conclusions from that. For the start of the race, Rast would actually be promoted to 13th on the grid due to Sarrazin, D'Ambrosio and both Mahindras being excluded for tyre pressure irregularities. This also meant the Mahindra of Bruno Senna would line up directly behind the German, a detail that will become significant in a moment. At the start, Rast got away reasonably well and negotiated the first hairpin without any trouble, holding position, only to be rammed by Senna into turn 5. The resulting damage saw him receive the black and orange meatball flag, summoning him into the pits for lengthy repairs to the rear of the car, which put paid to any chance of a decent result. In spite of his best efforts, which included setting the third fastest lap of the race, Rast would wind up 6 laps adrift and unclassified. It was a disappointing conclusion, but one which Rast could hardly be blamed for. He was a victim of misfortune, coupled with a team on death's door. When he returns to contest his home event again later this week, there will be several factors in his favour. For one, he is with an established manufacturer team who have already claimed a podium this season with Lucas Di Grassi at the wheel, and secondly, he'll have 6 opportunities to prove himself this time instead of just the 1. Additionally, the experience he has gained since 2016, including winning 2 DTM titles, can only be a good thing, so it's certainly not unlikely that we may see an upset or 2 from Rene Rast in Berlin this time around. Oh, and if you're wondering what became of Team Aguri, well, they were eventually fully acquired by Sega, who signed a French driver by the name of Jean-Eric Vergne, becoming what we know today as multiple champions DS Techeetah, so it's funny how things work out. You've been watching ReGen. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more anecdotes and analysis from Formula E and motorsport.